In Duluth, Georgia, a terrifying crime unfolds.
We had when that Martin lady just got shot.
She was shot and then dumped out just like garbage.
A persistent detective.
So what do we got here?
I'm very stubborn. I feel like every case can be solved.
Must unravel a mysterious murder.
I seen the whole thing go down.
The path to justice.
Do you know anyone who could have done this?
All signs are pointing to an angry ex-lover.
Takes the investigation.
Oh my God.
I don't know who he is, but this is the guy who committed the murder.
Down many wrong turns.
Find any shell casings?
No.
And dead ends.
If you don't stop, then you don't fail.
Before finally leading.
Your DNA ended up in that car.
It's like 1,000,000,000 to 1 he's not the killer.
To the most shocking ending of all.
You're saying that's not me?
That is definitely not me.
He said his brother did it. This is insane.
We're on Pleasant Hill Road in Duluth, Georgia. It's about 15 minutes north of the city of Atlanta.
Duluth has a small town charm mixed with big city vibes. The city is actually in Gwinnett County. Not far from here is the Gwinnett Place Mall. It's mostly vacant now, but once upon a time, it was the leading mall in the area.
In the summer of 2008, it was the scene of a crime that rocked the community.
What at 911?
We had when that Martin lady just got shot.
Where at it? Gwinnett Place Mall.
Where the bus station's at.
Did you see where the person is that did it?
Yeah, he was in a car, but he pulled off.
When Gwinnett County PD arrived, they found this victim in a desolate parking lot. They wasn't quite sure exactly what was going on, but her breathing was labored. They would soon find out that this victim had a huge gunshot wound to her chest.
Medical personnel arrive on scene and transport the victim to the hospital.
It was Friday evening. I had worked a full day shift. I was pretty much changed, ready, relaxing at the house. And my phone rang.
What's up?
And they notified me, hey, you're up. Somebody's been murdered. There was a single gunshot wound to a victim, and they were deceased at the hospital and required my response at the scene.
I'll be there soon.
My wife tells me, I guess I'll see you in a couple days, because that's generally what happens.
It can be challenging for a family. My wife was actually an Atlanta police sergeant, so she understood what I was going through.
I've always had the path that I wanted to become a law enforcement officer. I know it sounds cheesy, everybody says that, but I wanted to actually make a difference in society. The tenacity that you have to have for homicide is key, and I don't quit. I feel like that's the best asset that I have. Every minute counts on these scenes. You gotta get out there, you gotta get to witnesses, you gotta get to evidence.
Detective, so what do we got here? The victim was a black female. She was shot once.
There was a single gunshot wound to the victim's upper left chest. However, there was no exit wound. And that's why there was not a lot of blood on scene.
She had no ID on her when we found her.
No wallet, no purse, and there's nothing else around the scene.
The suspect fled in a beige or golden colored car. Okay. Did we find any shell casings? No.
Why are there no shell casings? Two possibilities. It's a revolver or the shell casing got stuck inside the car. It's with the vehicle.
Doesn't look like there's much here. Check the area for surveillance cameras.
There's not a major crime scene to process at this point, because it's just a parking lot. And looking in the parking lot, I saw nothing. To be honest with you, it's kind of dejecting. And so my next question is, what happened?
It's so important in this game of homicide or any police work is to interview your witnesses quickly.
What can you tell me?
I was at the bus stop.
We actually have a key witness who was a bus driver.
I love bus drivers. My old man was a bus driver. They see everything.
She was parked probably maybe 50 feet or so. So she had a pretty close vantage point.
I seen the whole thing go down.
she observed a male approach this four-door gold car parked in the parking spot. Get into the passenger side. He was in the vehicle, what she described, for a few minutes.
What happened next?
He got out of the car, and then he walked around to the driver's side.
The male yelled some expletive words towards her. She then saw him fire a single shot into the vehicle.
That shows malice. Who knows why, but it wasn't a simple accident that happened.
She stated that male then pulled the victim out of the vehicle, entered the driver's seat, and slowly drove away.
It was a gold car, 4 doors.
Her testimony regarding what she saw was corroborated by other witnesses on scene. However, her statement was the clearest picture of what occurred.
Can you describe the gunman?
It was a black guy.
Her description of him was vague, but she did provide a description that he had a white shirt with green over top.
It was a distinct t-shirt with green and white on it. It was so profound that it caught the eye of this witness.
The bus driver's story leads to a possible motive in the murder. He's got to appreciate the fact that this killer was actually sitting in the passenger side front of the car of the victim. I mean, you got to consider, is this some kind of domestic situation?
Hey, I didn't find any cameras. Nothing, huh? Nothing. Okay, thank you.
He's got the clock ticking. Detective Cruz has to work this homicide as quickly as possible.
At this point, I realize my victim is the key to figuring out what happened. My next course of action is to reach out to our county operator and say, hey, look, I need this person put on the system as missing.
Our Vic is a black female.
I provided them with the victim's description. And I said, if anybody calls in this evening from any location, wake me up and give me a call. And I went home. I think I go to sleep maybe 2:15. I felt like I didn't even close my eyes, but I hear the phone ring.
Hello?
We have a match.
And it's the county operator. They say, hey, look, we've got a report of a missing person. They provided the name of the missing person as Janai Coleman.
She was driving a gold 4-door sedan.
It was a gold car, 4 doors.
Who reported her missing?
Her sister.
Okay, can I have the address?
Based off the description for the missing person report, I believed it was a very good possibility that this was my victim.
Okay, thanks.
Detective Cruz has a monumental task at hand right now. He's got to speak to a potential family member of his victim who reported someone missing. Detective Cruz and another investigator meet with Janai Coleman's sister.
Thank you for meeting with us.
Since Detective Cruz doesn't know for sure if Janai is his victim, he doesn't tell the sister about the homicide.
I introduce myself and I say, hey, look, you know, we heard you want to file a missing person report.
Can you tell me what happened?
Janai took her daughter to school.
She generally waited for her to pick her up, which was right in the area where the murder occurred.
Calls to her phone keep going to voicemail.
Detective Cruz is on the right track, but then he notices something that pushes him over the edge.
My eyes are scanning, looking around the house, which I think I do it everywhere I go. And I saw a picture on the refrigerator.
It's not like her to do this.
I remember looking at the refrigerator, and we had obtained a photograph of the victim at the hospital, and that was sent to me. And I looked at the picture on the refrigerator, and I'm realizing this is my victim.
I have some questions.
Now it's time to figure out what's really going on here.
Found her.
Detective Damian Cruz is working the puzzling murder of a woman shot outside of a mall in Gwinnett County, Georgia.
All right, doesn't look like there's anything here. Check the area for surveillance cameras.
Detective Cruz knows the killer fled in the victim's car, but he's got no physical evidence at the crime scene. Plus, he doesn't know the victim's identity.
We have a match.
He catches a break when a woman reports her sister, Janai Coleman, is missing.
Can you tell me what happened?
At Janai's sister's house, Detective Cruz makes an incredible discovery.
I looked at the picture on the refrigerator, and I'm like, I believe that's her.
I have some questions.
He's got to get as much information out of that family as he can before he breaks that news, because 9 out of 10 times, once a detective does that, they shut down.
I tried to get the information pertaining to the vehicle so we could at least put that on the system.
Do you know Janai's car tag number by any chance?
Yes.
Because I knew that the vehicle was key to this case. I told the other detective that was with me, hey, put this on the system real quick.
Excuse me. So can you tell me about Janai?
She's a saint.
She was a school teacher. She was very religious. She was a loving mother. And she even served the armed forces.
That's a victim you just want to run for. While you love all your victims, this victim appears to just have a pure soul.
I want to show you something.
And I said, look, there was an incident tonight. We didn't know who Janai was. But I believe, she was the victim in this case that we have now. And that's the reason I'm here.
Is this female in the photo your sister?
We had a photograph from the hospital, and she immediately identified her.
Mm-hmm.
You sure?
Absolutely.
The trauma and the emotion that overwhelms those family members is incredible. It's tangible. You can feel it in the room.
Now, do you know anyone who could have done this?
No.
She was very adamant, no. She didn't have, promiscuous boyfriend. She didn't have an angry boyfriend. She wasn't involved in any criminal activities.
Everyone loved her. This doesn't make any sense.
I feel frustrated that I can't give the family answers or closure at that point in time. And so knowing that, I knew the vehicle was even more important because that was our scene.
We found the car. Where? Forest Park. Police spotted it around 11 p.m.
I'm looking at a window of 2 hours after my murder happened. An officer was running that tag in Forest Park, which is approximately 45, 50 minutes south of Gwinnett County.
Okay, we need to go now. Thank you for your time.
I gave her my business card and I said, look, I am so sorry for your loss, but we gotta go. I'm following up on this case. The car was abandoned in like a little strip mall. It was just parked unassumingly in a parking lot.
Detective Cruz then has the victim's car towed back to the police department to process for evidence.
We put it directly into our crime scene base, secure, and then the crime scene investigators start doing their thing. I'm very excited. I mean, anything could be in that vehicle, and every little detail of a clue could be something. She does fingerprinting for swabs, looking for possible DNA.
You find any shell casings?
No.
It was clean. The insides were spotless. It was pristine.
Look at this.
What you got?
Detective Damian Cruz's crime scene tech locates a cigarette butt behind the driver's seat.
Did your victim smoke?
I don't know.
The cigarette butt, I believed initially, was huge because that vehicle did not look like it was a smoker's car.
Let me call her sister and ask.
I said, hey, look, does Janai smoke? And her sister was like, absolutely not. And I said, is anybody allowed to smoke in their car? Like, absolutely not.
Without question, that cigarette butt could belong to the killer of Detective Cruz's victim, Janai Coleman.
I'm gonna send this to the lab for testing, but it's gonna be a little while before we hear back.
So in 2008, it could take several months to just determine if there is DNA on the cigarette butt.
Great. Let me know as soon as you hear something.
I think my optimism is what drives me. There's gonna be something around the corner that'll break the case. So I keep looking.
We met with Detective Cruz to learn how he moved this investigation forward.
Now you have this car that you know belongs to your victim. It was taken in a homicide. Man, it's like waking up on Christmas morning, opening up your presents.
We were able to process it. Let me show you real quick. We've actually got the vehicle here. That's our crime scene bay analysis. It was the Dodge Stratus. I got fingerprints inside the vehicle, on the rearview mirror, on the A-pillar, on top of the hood on the driver's side.
Those are creamy.
Nice.
I like
That's a good one right there.
Yeah, we found out that it didn't match the victim or anybody else had been in her vehicle. I was very, very confident that this was my suspect's prints. Well, I'm thinking, okay, maybe I can upload it to APHIS, the national database, and maybe get a hit. No, Of course not, right? That'd be too easy. So they weren't able to upload it, so I needed a known identifiable suspect to do comparative analysis.
So the print is good, but you're still back to square one trying to ID your suspect.
Correct.
What do you do next?
So now that I've established a suspect, at least a rough description, I start scavenging the area, and I start pulling every piece of available video, either inside or outside of those businesses. I collected video from gas stations, convenience stores, restaurants, where the murder occurred and where the vehicle was dumped. And then I began the process of starting to just go through hours and hours and hours of video, looking for ultimately a needle in a haystack. And I'm looking for a male, a black male wearing white with green over top.
Detective Cruz gets the video from a gas station right across the street where Janai Coleman was killed.
I'm watching clips and I'm watching people come in and out of the store all day.
Less than an hour before the murder occurs, a man enters the gas station and it really catches Detective Cruz's eye.
Whoa, who are you?
He's wearing a 3/4 shirt. It's the kind of baseball shirt we had in Little League, where the sleeves are green and the top part is white.
That was his aha moment.
White and green. Like a green overtop?
Yeah, it was green.
It matches up with the witness at the bus station said.
So many times Quinn and I have had so many cases where we're looking at the video and we see it. It just sounds like a beacon from heaven coming down, shining and letting us know, I'm here, this is me.
It looks like Detective Cruz just found Janai's killer.
Female.
I think what makes me a good homicide investigator is the resilience of not quitting, following every lead.
Did your victim smoke?
Let me call her sister and ask.
It's almost like a carrot in front of a horse, right? They just keep going even though they're not going to get there. I'm very stubborn. And I'm also optimistic, which in this field is probably not a good thing, but if you don't stop, then you don't fail.
White and green.
It's starting to take off.
Look at this.
Detective Cruz recovers a vehicle and gets a couple pieces of evidence, including a cigarette butt that may belong to the suspect.
Whoa, who are you?
After going through hours of surveillance video, he spots a guy that grabs his attention.
White and green.
I'm feeling pretty confident that this could be the gentleman who committed the murder.
The video is great color, but at the same time, it's a little muddled. But it's the kind of video that me and Vince used to always say, his mama don't know who he is.
He buys a beer. You can hear his interaction with the clerk at the counter. He even kind of gets disgruntled a little bit when he buys the beer and says, hey, well, I don't need a brown bag.
We don't have brown paper bags in bars.
And the clerk says, look, buddy, that's the rules. I got to put it in a bag if you're going to walk out of here. He walks out. And he comes back in. He buys a pack of cigarettes. My first thing in my brain is like, what cigarettes is he ordering?
What's the light long? Long? Yeah.
You can't really hear the name, brand of the cigarettes, but you do hear him say light longs. So that's basically a longer version of a normal size cigarette.
There's like a ton of brands of cigarettes, and I don't know which specific brand he's smoking.
While Detective Cruz can't hear or distinguish what brand cigarette this potential suspect is purchasing, he's going where he needs to be on this case. It's this guy till it's not this guy.
And he leaves. And then he never comes back in. I start going through more video, because now I'm going through video like crazy.
Come on, man.
Detective Cruz screens videos from a business where Janai's car was dumped.
They're small AVI files, and I'm just going click, and it goes for 5 seconds, and I gotta click on the next one. I watch, I think it was like 400 and something clips. I just see like a blurb, like a blip. And I was like, was that something? And let me rewind it. And it was, I want to say a second.
This is a video that if you blink too fast, you may miss it.
And I freeze it and I pause it.
Oh my God. Oh, wait.
He knows right then, that's the same man that was in the convenience store.
I've confirmed he was at both locations at the time of the murder and where the car was dumped. So now I've got him on both ends, right? So I felt great. I mean, I knew that's who we were looking for. I just didn't know who he was.
Suddenly, the crime lab calls with an update on the cigarette butt in Janai's car.
Detective Cruz.
on. I got a notification that, yes, there was DNA and it was determined to be male DNA.
This killer has left a signature card in this victim's car in the form of his cigarette butt.
That's huge. That's a moment you live for in a homicide investigation. That's a hallelujah moment in your cubicle when you get that kind of information.
We need to do further testing.
They had to do DNA typing on it, so that had to be sent away.
We'll let you know once it's done.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know how long it would take. And so as the DNA was taking a little bit of time, I felt that the best next course of action was to release the video.
The police department does a press release to the media. They've shared still photos of the suspect from the convenience store video.
Detective Cruz believed the news coverage would help generate leads to identify the killer, but nothing came of it. A few months later, the DNA testing was finally completed. They uploaded the sample to CODIS, a DNA database with convicted felons.
Detective Cruz crossed his fingers and hoping that a match would be made to somebody in the system. He was pretty much stuck until he can get something from that DNA.
A month goes by, then several months go by. Now he's into a year. He still hasn't brought this case in. That's the frustration that you gotta sign up for when you become a homicide detective. I mean, we feel his pain.
I know this is the individual who committed the crime, so I'm optimistic that it will get solved, but I'm frustrated that there's no progress at that point where we kind of hit a stalemate in the case. So August 6th, 2009, I was in my office working at my desk on a separate case, and my phone rang.
Detective Cruz.
It was the CODIS administrator through the GBI.
Okay, what do you got for me?
A match in the Janai Coleman homicide.
The case that just was cold for the year just got initially fired back up.
Hey, we got a hit. What case? Janai Coleman.
And I told him, he's like, in disbelief, and excitement at the same time.
All right, what can you tell me?
The suspect's name is Donald Smith.
Detective Cruz has the name of the killer. It's time to track him down and bring him in.
Detective Cruz.
Detective Damian Cruz just received game-changing news in the Janai Coleman homicide case.
Hey, we got a hit.
DNA from a cigarette butt found in her car has been matched to a known offender.
The suspect's name is Donald Smith.
Detective Cruz is thinking either Donald is the killer, or he better have a damn good explanation as to why he was in Janai's car.
What other details can you tell me?
We start scrambling. Who is this person? Where do they live? How do we find them? What do they look like? The investigation is like re-triggered because now you know the evidence you have, but now you have somebody to match up to it. So it's exciting. One of the first things I do is I get a photograph of him. The height matches, the weight matches, the complexion, the age. All these things start matching up with the surveillance video shows. And now I'm thinking this is good.
Donald's a convicted felon, so his prints will be on file. I think we need to visit the lab.
I was able to ascertain that fingerprints were available for Donald Smith. I did request and got those records sent to our crime scene unit to compare to the fingerprints we had in the vehicle. I got negative ident from crime scene. I was told I need palm prints, which to me means you need better quality or different prints. So the next thing I start doing is a complete workup on him.
Detective Cruz wasn't just going to go out and arrest this guy. He had to take a deep dive into Donald Smith's background first.
Donald's criminal past showed a history of violence, and that lined up with the profile of the killer.
Detective Cruz pulled the suspect's work records. He found a cell number that Donald used on a job application.
He subpoenaed those phone records, and cell tower data showed the phone was active in the area and active at the murder scene and the car dump location.
All signs pointed to Donald Smith as being the killer, but Detective Cruz wanted to be doubly sure that he had the right guy.
When I had established that Donald had a work history at a specific store, I met with the employees.
Did you guys work with this gentleman?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And his brother worked here too sometimes.
His brother goes by the name of Ronald.
So, Ronald and Donald.
Yeah, they're actually twins.
They're identical twins.
Twins?
So right now, Detective Cruz has to consider, is the right killer Donald, or could it possibly be his identical twin brother, Ronald?
Which brother is this?
That's Donald.
That's Donald.
They said they were positive it was Donald.
Are you sure? 100%, yeah, that's Donald. Okay.
When I asked those follow-up questions like, why would you say him? And they said, well, there was an incident with him at the store where he threatened somebody. They said that generally Donald had a more aggressive nature and Ronald was more calm and timid. At that point in time, we believe Donald Smith is our guy.
Thank you very much. You've been a big help.
It's time for Detective Cruz to get an arrest warrant for Donald Smith.
A fugitive team quickly tracks him down and takes him into custody.
We bring him back to our headquarters for an interview. We get him an interview. He's like, what is this about? I didn't do anything. And then we explained to him what the charge would be, and he said, I'll talk to you.
This is Detective Cruz's opportunity to get the truth.
I show him a picture of the car, right? I show him the victim's car.
What kind of car am I looking at here?
It's a Dodge Stratus.
No, I haven't.
Never been in this car.
Never.
Detective Cruz shows Donald a photo of Janai Coleman. He's looking for a reaction.
He seemed very calm, cool, intelligent, and collective.
I have never seen this woman before.
Okay.
Ever. I don't know her.
Most people don't walk in there and say, hey, I did this. They need to be presented with the overwhelming facts and evidence against them to then realize, okay, they kind of drop their shoulders and say, you got me, and then they talk.
He's got to show them it. I'm not making this up. This is a video. This is a video of what I believe to be you.
Was it with this guy right here?
Yeah. You're saying that's not you?
That is definitely not me. I don't have a shirt like that. I can't even see the face of the person, but that's not me.
Okay, so that's not you.
No, definitely not me.
So I've showed him the video, I showed him the victim's car, and I showed him the victim. And he denies knowledge of all three.
Your DNA ended up in that car.
That's interesting, because my DNA couldn't have been in that car because I've never been in that car.
He's still denying it, and then he drops a bombshell.
DNA is split between 10 twins. It's indistinguishable. They share DNA, identical twins.
And I'm like, yeah, I know that. But at that point in time, I also know, is he trying to distract me to make me think his brother did it?
The conclusion I'm jumping to what you're saying, if it's somebody shared DNA, then it will have to be either you or your brother.
Obviously.
Is it possible he's not BSing them? Is the real killer Ronald and not Donald?
This is totally crazy.
You just explain to me why I'm here.
Donald Smith is arrested for the murder of Janai Coleman.
I have never seen this woman before. Ever. I don't know her.
He completely denies any involvement in her homicide.
Your DNA ended up in that car.
In a surprising twist, Donald offers his twin brother, Ronald, as the prime suspect.
DNA is split between 10 twins. It's indistinguishable. They share DNA, identical twins.
I've had a lot of interviews, interrogations with suspects in homicides, and I never in my career had an identical twin getting passed off as a suspect. It turns out, Ronald Smith has a minor criminal record.
I showed it to several people, and they identified you.
I don't know who could have identified that as me because it's not me.
This is, I guess, an application. If you want to look at it real quick for me.
We also confront him with the fact that the cell phone number he used for his application was active at the murder scene and also where it was.
I didn't have a phone then. It wasn't working then. That was my brother's phone number.
Oh, well, that's my brother's phone. I used it as a reference, but it's my brother's phone.
But your brother never actually gave you his phone so you can just borrow it?
No.
Okay.
Which again, he's pointing everything to his brother rather than saying it's himself.
If it wasn't me, then it had to be him. And like I said just a minute ago, that's it's becoming really, really disheartening.
This is different. You have an identical twin with identical DNA who's thrown this huge curve in this whole investigation.
He says, let me take a break. We say, well, you do a polygraph test. He's like, absolutely, I'll go do a polygraph test.
But what's interesting is He gets in there and fails miserably, according to the actual analyst administering the exam.
So he put him back in the room and he says, well, I wasn't being truthful. He's like, I do recognize the person in the video. He's like, but it's not me. It's my brother.
Donald even encourages the detectives, go show this video to my family. They're gonna also say, it's my brother Ronald.
So I have 2 teams of detectives take the surveillance video, 2 separate locations simultaneously, and while we're sitting there talking to them, they go meet with the family.
Detective Cruz wasn't ready to clear Donald just yet, but he started to consider Ronald could actually be the killer.
He had Donald fingerprinted and sent the prints out to be compared to the ones found in Janai's car.
Meanwhile, detectives met with Donald's parents and another sibling. They asked them to review the surveillance video.
They all said it was Ronald on the tape. When a family member picks you out, it just doesn't get any better than that.
To top it off, Detective Cruz learned the prints from the crime scene were not a match from Donald.
Donald may be telling the truth after all. At this point, Detective Cruz wanted to get a hold of Ronald Smith ASAP. He secured a warrant and quickly brought him in.
We bring him to headquarters so we can do an interview, and then we've got to execute 2 search warrants, one for his fingerprints and one for his DNA.
Even though he knew they were identical twins, until you see them in your face, damn, these brothers look just alike.
Detective Cruz takes Ronald to the interview and hopes he'll speak with him.
And while I'm showing him the mountain of evidence, you can see his demeanor starts to change.
I need you.
Detective Cruz learns that the fingerprint comparison is back from the vehicle that was stolen after the murder.
What you got?
We got him.
I look at her, she's like, it's a dead match. Fingerprints that were on file for Ronald did indeed match the recovered ones from the vehicle. So at that point in time in the investigation, we go back into the interview room and we tell him, hey, you're no longer free to leave.
All right, Ron, things have changed, okay? Based on what's gone on, okay? The fingerprints have come back, okay? And the fingerprints are a match. So for us to discuss the matters of the fingerprints and the other things, I have to advise you, you're right.
You're being arrested and charged, so we read a Miranda and said, look, do you want to tell us your side of the story?
Do you want to talk to me about some things? All right.
When at that point ahead, he kind of just said, look, I need a minute. I just need a minute to get my head around this. He requested to make a phone call, so we let him make a phone call.
Hey, a whole lot has happened.
So we're listening to him, and then he's talking, he's kind of upset, and I bring him a picture of the victim.
I just wanted to, I don't know if you knew this woman, but this is the woman, okay? And her name was Janai.
And I say, look, here's who she was. Her name was Janai Coleman. She was a mother, she was religious, she was a good, loving woman. You know, I told him, look, the family's not mad at you, they just want to know why. And so I slide him the photo, and I leave the room. And when I did, he looks at the photo, and he apologizes to the photo. And when he does that, I'm like, that's it.
The Janai Coleman homicide takes an unbelievable turn when suspect Donald Smith denies involvement. And he points the finger at his identical twin brother, Ronald.
If it wasn't me, then it had to be him.
Detective Cruz doesn't know what to think, but he quickly scoops up Ronald Smith and brings him in for an interview.
We got him.
It turns out Ronald's fingerprints are a direct match to the ones found in Janai's car. And he appears to be right on the brink of actually confessing.
I know he's starting to feel remorse.
That's why I want to say something. I really do.
He's like, look, man, I just want to do this. I want to go smoke, and then I want to come back. And then I'll talk. They go outside onto the back porch. They smoke. And when he comes back in, sits in the interview room, and Shreppo hands me a cigarette butt. And as soon as I look at him, I'm like, this is it. This is the exact same cigarette butt we recovered.
Here's this pack of cigarettes.
And right there, I read on the side of the box, Bronson Light Longs. And now I know where the long came from. Bronson Light Longs, okay? That's Bronson 100s. And so I'm like, this is it.
Detective Cruz, while he has all this other overwhelming physical evidence, he wants the confession for the family. I mean, yeah, you want it for trial, but you want the family to understand the why.
He comes back in, he sits down, and the first words he says to us, I remember, I'll never forget it.
Guilty.
Inside, you're excited, but you're trying not to show it on your face.
I don't know why. It was an accident. A straight accident.
He sits in there and goes, look, I just wanted the car. He rides the bus route frequently, and so he had a couple beers at the convenience store, and he decided he didn't want to wait on the bus. And she was sitting there, unsuspecting, in her vehicle. She was on her laptop, which means she probably wasn't paying attention. And so it was pretty much just a hijacking of her motor vehicle to take it as a mode of transportation.
Ronald goes on to explain that he's trying to take this woman's car, and Janai Coleman is trying to counsel this brother into not doing it.
When she communicated with him and tried to plead with him, and his words stall, I think he got frustrated. And that's why he exited the passenger side and went to the driver's side. He says, the gun just goes off, it's a hair trigger.
The gun went off. She said he shot me.
Ronald Smith makes up this story about he didn't mean to do it, it was an accident. He exactly did what he intended to do.
The witnesses said they heard the suspect yell a couple superlative words, choice words, and then firing the gun. And that doesn't coincide with his statement that he walked around and then the gun accidentally went off.
I did not mean to shoot this woman. It was a hair trigger.
I mean, being a homicide detective, you know what they're saying is all a bunch of BS, but you let them keep talking.
I didn't drag her out of the car. It wasn't like that.
So this is a classic case, what we call in the business, a suspect giving a self-serving story.
He was minimizing his involvement just to make himself feel better for what he did. But it doesn't negate what they did. This murder was just senseless.
So what kind of gun did you use?
357.
He told me it was a 357 revolver, which would explain why there was no shell casing on scene and there was no shell casing in the vehicle.
That matches up with the type of caliber of bullet that was pulled out of this victim. No one would know that except the police and the person who actually possessed that weapon.
Where's the gun now?
I ditched it. And I just took off after that.
He drove it to Forest Park. He admitted to vanning the vehicle. The only thing he didn't admit to is intentionally shooting her. So at that point in time, we're positive. It was him. He did it. And so based on that, we immediately told him, look, you're formally charged. And then we took him to the county jail.
Ronald's twin brother, Donald, is completely cleared of any wrongdoing. He's released the very same day.
Ronald Smith is charged with felony murder, hijacking of a motor vehicle, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony.
In October of 2012, the case goes to trial. After everything Ronald told police, his defense team claims it was really Donald who committed the murder.
The jury doesn't buy it. Ronald Smith is found guilty and sentenced to life plus 20 years.
This case was crazy, man. This is the stuff that we have bad dreams about.
It was a total stranger-on-stranger crime. She did nothing to put herself in a bad situation. It's senseless.
I know you put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this case, but what did it really mean to you?
I mean, it made me feel not so just successful, but happy for the family. Happy that the hard work and effort materialized into finding the person who did it and ultimately getting a conviction.
All the work you put into this case, all the T's you crossed, all the I's you dotted.
So what do we got here?
Like, you left no stone unturned.
We found the car.
Damien, you didn't just have a case file. You put together a movie production.
Whoa, who are you?
I must have went through 4 barrels of popcorn going through your file and watching all the video.
We got a hit.
You got DNA, you got fingerprints, phone records, video, confession. I mean, this is like the cornucopia of a homicide case, and you did it all.
The gun went off. She said he shot me.
And then you were able to bring this killer to justice and then give this family some type of resolve.
Guilty.
So I am completely impressed by your work, man.
The fact that you guys can recognize and appreciate it, it means a lot to me. Appreciate it.
Look, it's been a pleasure, talking about this case, and man, what a great job you did.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I respect that a lot.
My brother, awesome job.
Appreciate it.
On the body?
No.
Oh, looks like the shooting came from the passenger side.
It's like Swiss cheese. Somebody has wet this car up.
Oh, large caliber.
We don't know what we're dealing with here, but we know this ain't no pistol, this ain't no handgun. We're dealing with an assault rifle.
What do you think?
AK-47 would be my guess.
Now, this seems like a targeted attack.
This wasn't a drive-by shooting. This is a shooting where a pedestrian had to enter onto this property, approach this car, and just wet it up, just at close range.
He came right up on top of him.
This person, whoever shot our victim, executed him. They wanted him dead.
The 911 call came from the homeowners here.
Yeah? They know the Vic?
They said no.
The people that lived inside that dwelling said they heard the gunfire, they looked outside, they saw a strange, mysterious car in their driveway that they didn't recognize, and they called police.
That's weird, because the car is all the way up their driveway.
Right.
I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
Let's dig in.
Yep.
I'm gonna hit the other side.
There's blood all over the driver's seat. We open up the glove box and we can clearly see
I think I know who our victim is.
this car's registered to a guy named Titus Cole.
Hey, detectives. On the text found something.
On the way.
At the beginning of this driveway, there's a black bandana.
Nice.
We believe it was probably left by whoever's involved in this particular shooting.
We gotta do our CSI thing with this here.
Yeah, might get some DNA. We've got a lot of testing to get done.
Yeah.
We've got shell casings, we've got blood swabbings, we got the bandana. We collect all of that evidence.
Who was the first on scene?
That would be Officer Camello. I'll get him for you.
You're the man.
Thanks.
We have to rely on his senses, what he saw when he arrived. And it's important because the victim was gone by the time we got there.
All right. Walk us through it.
When I first showed up, there was somebody with the victim.
He said there was an older black gentleman on scene, and he got his name. He identified him as Darryl.
Possible witness.
Why was he even here?
Claimed he just happened by.
Darryl said he was visiting the neighborhood. He has a sister that lives there. He heard the gunfire, came upon this crime scene, and decided to help out this victim in need.
Where's Darryl now?
I don't know. I turned my attention back to the victim. I looked up. He was gone.
This is common. Witnesses sometimes, they will dip on you if you don't put a tether on them.
I'm sorry.
Hey, no. We may find him. Don't worry.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, you got Quinn.
It's the medical examiner's office calling.
Thank you. All right. Okay, so we got an ID on our victim here. So it's not Titus Cole. It's Alfred Boyd, and he's 44 years old.
Okay, so now we have another mystery to solve.
So now we have an identification of our victim. We have a car belonging to a Titus Cole. We got to see how those two things match up and why Titus Cole's car is in his driveway with Alfred Boyd's dead body in it.
So he died of multiple gunshot wounds to the heart and liver. He lives in Clayton County.
Clayton County? That's a hike. That's like 20 miles.
So why is Alfred Boyd in the darkness of night in our city in a driveway shot up with an AK-47?
I don't get it.
Yeah, and they said the medical examiner already gave a notification to the family, but I think we should go pay him a visit.
Of course. Let's do it.
Let's go.
The way me and my partner roll, we still want to go out to that family and let them know who was taking charge of the investigation and let them know that we cared about what happened to their loved ones.
Thanks, guys.
So Quinn and I rolled out to Alfred Boyd's home in Riverdale, Clayton County, a nice suburban home.
Look, we really appreciate your time.
And we're sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
The wife identified herself as Sheena, and the daughter, we came to find out, was known as Danica. This is a bad time. They've received the worst news they're ever going to hear about their loved one over the phone.
I'm sorry. I'm still trying to process everything.
We understand that. We want to know about people in Alfred's life.
Like who?
Did our victim have any enemies? Anybody out to get him? The answer is absolutely not. They said everybody loved this victim.
Tell us about Titus Cole.
Alfred was driving his car when we found him.
I don't know who that is.
So we're scratching our heads at this point of how our victim ended up in Titus Cole's vehicle.
Do you have any idea why he'd be in Atlanta?
I really don't have a clue.
Something was going on. This brother may have been leading a double life, and maybe the family just wasn't aware of it.
All right, does Selwyn Avenue ring a bell at all?
No.
While me and Vince are talking, I'm feeling this adult daughter, Danica's eyes. There's something in her eyes. It's almost like she wants to say something, but not in front of her mother.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Hey, if you think of anything, please, don't hesitate to give us a call, okay?
The family could either not know anything or they have some information and they're just not comfortable yet sharing that with us. But right now, we gotta let it ride the way it is.
Thank you.
We gotta move on. We decide to head back to the crime scene and speak with the homeowner.
Okay, look, we just want to go back over your statement with you.
Sure.
All right, so it says you didn't know who the person was in the car.
Right. I didn't know.
So, that's strange, right?
This doesn't make sense to us. So at this point, we need to dig a little deeper.
Go over what you remember happened.
I was sleeping, and I heard gunshots.
She says she looks outside, she sees an unknown person in a car in the driveway, and she sees an older black male standing next to the car. We gotta think, this has to be Daryl.
All right, so what happened next?
And then I heard a woman outside hollering.
She actually said she heard a woman scream. Now, if that's true, we got a third person in our crime scene.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did you see the woman?
Yeah, she was an older black chick. That's about all I could tell.
Okay. Now, is there anything else that you left out that we should know?
We ain't feeling it at all.
Hey, Felicia, you understand what's happening here, right? Hey, this is really important. Look, the truth is going to reveal itself eventually, so...
All of a sudden, she gets real quiet. She's nervous.
This sister is overwhelmed. It's like something washed over her. She's got something to tell us.
There is something I need to get off my chest.
Anytime someone says, I want to get something off my chest, you might as well have a drum roll, because we know what's coming next. It's good stuff.
I lied to that cop.
This investigation is about to jump off.
They wanted to do drugs.
We knew there was more to this story.
Terry's dead. Who's Terry?
This murder was a setup. To solve this case, we'll turn to an old friend.
I heard you looking for me.
His actions had deadly consequences.
Go, 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 go!
A new lead reveals a killer connection.
We like him as a suspect in 2 separate homicides down here.
There was no denying the similarities.
But we heard you know who killed your boy.
Yeah.
This was unbelievable.
I thought we were gonna die.
He did this once before, he was gonna do it again.
What are we looking at?
Victor was a black male sitting in the driver's seat.
In December of 2008, 44-year-old Alfred Boyd is found shot to death inside a car on a driveway in Southwest Atlanta.
We just want to go back over your statement with you.
Sure.
The homeowner, Felicia, claims she doesn't know Alfred or anything about the murder.
So, that's strange, right?
We feel something's up with her. We feel like she's not telling the truth.
Now, is there anything else that you left out that we should know?
I lied to that cop.
Finally, the truth comes out when Felicia admits to giving us a false statement.
All right, break it down. Take your time.
Felicia's about to give our case some light.
I knew that dude that got killed, but I ain't know him as no Alfred. We just all called him Hoganville.
Why'd they call him that?
He said that's where he was from.
Hoganville?
So Felicia goes on to say that Hoganville actually came over that night with another gentleman to see her friend Nika, who was inside the house.
So what was the other guy's name?
I don't know. For real, I don't know.
So we're thinking that there's got to be Daryl, the witness, described by the police officer that first responded.
So Alfred came over here to see Nika.
Yeah. They wanted to do drugs, and Alfred, he bought it for everybody.
He actually gave money to Nika to go buy some crack and bring it back to share with everybody. And that's exactly what she did.
We was all partying, you know, smoking, and I shouldn't have done that.
Felicia says after all of this, it was late. Everybody's getting tired. And Hoganville was going to go home.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
I was getting ready for bed, and I heard the loudest gunfight. And that's when I called 911.
Felicia finally looked outside and said she never saw the gunman.
Me and Nika, we were so scared.
Where can we find Nika?
I don't know.
Listen, is Nika involved in this murder in any way?
I don't think so.
Look,
the victim was found in a car registered to a guy named Titus Cole.
We need to know if he's involved in this. So we called him up and arranged a visit.
Titus Cole?
Yeah.
We tracked down Titus Cole, and he actually also lives in Riverdale, just like our victim.
So, as I mentioned, we recovered your vehicle.
That's great.
Yeah, well, it belongs to a homicide that we're working.
What? Terry's dead? Who's Terry?
He goes on to say, Terry's the guy I let borrow my car. So we had to break it to him. It's not Terry, it's a guy named Alfred Boyd.
Do you know Alfred? No.
What about Felicia? Lives over at 7th Avenue.
No, sir.
1 and 1 is not equaling 2 here. Something's wrong with this whole situation.
Nobody's seen Terry. He's probably cracked out somewhere.
Terry used to have a drug problem. He's thinking he lent him his car. Maybe he went out binging again.
So, it could be that he sold the car to get high and now he's laying low.
I mean, based off our experience, people struggling with drugs, in particular crack during 2008, selling your buddy's car to get high, that's a normal day in Atlanta.
Or maybe he pawned it to Alfred in exchange for drugs or money.
We don't feel like Titus is connected to this at all. He's been truthful with us, straight up.
Look, we'll let you know when we can return the vehicle to you. All right?
Thanks, Titus. Is that you?
So we're headed back to the office. My cell phone blows up.
Yeah, you got Quinn. Go for it.
I heard you looking for me.
Guy on the other end of the line says his name is Daryl. And then he tells me his last name is Jones.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, hey, Quinn, it's reunion time.
Hold on, wait a minute. Is this Daryl from the Charles Smith case?
Yeah, man.
We realize it's the same Daryl Jones that we had from a homicide back in 2003.
He was a critical linchpin to solving that homicide. I'm wondering what he's got to offer on this one. We got to talk to him.
Give me like an hour.
All right, see you then. Yep.
All right, let's see if Daryl can go 2 for 2.
Okay.
His information was spot on back then. We're hoping now his information's spot on now.
Okay, so walk us through the night of the murder.
I was with Hoganville.
And it was just the 2 of you?
There was a girl by the name of Blondie with us.
Now we're thinking back to when we talked to Felicia and she said she heard a woman screaming. So we're thinking now, is Blondie that same person? If she is, we got another witness we got to find.
Okay. What were y'all doing?
Just hanging out.
So according to our boy Daryl, they're out having their own kind of fun.
Hey, girl won't stop calling me. Hello?
According to Daryl, it was a girl named Nika that kept blowing up Hoganville's phone. I mean, she called him over and over again, wanting him to come visit her.
Now, you sure it was Nika?
Yeah.
We're thinking now that, didn't Nika lure our victim to the crime scene?
We arrived at the house. Blondie stayed in the car while we went inside.
Daryl pretty much tells us the exact same story, word for word, we got from Felicia. So everything's matching up now. We like it when it's congruent.
Everything was cool until we left.
Alfred goes to the car while Daryl stays on the front porch talking to Nika.
Come on, man.
Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a man emerges with a gun.
What kind of gun was it?
Something like an assault rifle.
Okay.
Daryl really broke this thing down. I mean, he says this gunman walked up on the driveway directly on the front of the passenger side and starts shooting.
All right, what happened to Blondie?
She was laying down.
This brother is literally shooting through the car. He says Blondie had to make herself small so she didn't get hit. It's amazing she wasn't killed as well.
This was a straight ambush. The way Daryl describes this gunman showed up out of nowhere and had one target in mind, and that was our victim sitting in the driver's seat.
After the shooting, Blondie jumped out the car and took off.
Did you get a good look at the shooter?
He said he was dressed in dark clothes. He had him at like maybe 5'8" in height.
He was wearing a bandana on his face, ran down the driveway, jumped in a waiting car, and just peeled off.
Bam, the bandana. This has to be our shooter's bandana. We were right on point with collecting that evidence.
All right, what kind of car?
A dark-colored sedan.
Did you see the plate?
Nah.
He said there was a lone gunman on this. So that's good information. But we also got a getaway driver. That could possibly be somebody we flip later.
I just ran to my man, tried to help him, but there's nothing I could do.
Okay. Do you have any idea why he was targeted?
Daryl is about to send this investigation in a whole new direction.
Well, he did hit a lick a few days back.
This isn't a coincidence. This has got to be connected.
Tell us what you know about the lick.
This was all about revenge.
There you got Quinn. Go for it.
I heard you looking for me.
We've just caught a break in Alfred Boyd's case.
Okay.
While working the murder.
Well, he did hit a lick a few days back.
Tell us what you know about the lick.
Look, I know he robbed somebody for 3 stacks.
3 stacks.
I mean, on the street is $3,000 cash. That's why he was being so nice, buying everybody's crack. And he essentially was the Robin Hood of the hood or something.
You know who he robbed?
Nah, I'll tell you. I swear.
Okay. Thanks for this, man. Appreciate it.
Can I get a lift?
How are you?
Well, I've been thinking, and there's something you should know.
Okay. Hey, take your time.
There's an apartment that I've dropped my dad off at before.
She thinks those people there may have some answers as to why he was killed.
What are their names?
2 women, Priscilla and Toya.
We want her to know, no matter what's going on with her dad, we got the case. We're gonna work this thing to the end.
All right, we're gonna look into this. Thank you so much.
Let's go pay these ladies a visit.
We head to an apartment complex about a mile from Alfred's house in Riverdale.
Me and Vin roll over there where Priscilla and Toya live, and we go over there cold.
We want to ask you a few questions.
About Alfred?
That's right.
Priscilla and Toya already knew our victim was dead. The word on the street travels fast, even 20 miles away.
We don't want to get killed next.
They were so overwhelmed with fear, you could see it in their eyes. They were gripped with it.
Why would that happen?
Alfred came by here a few days ago. Before he was killed, he was with Nika.
Here's Nika again. Nika keeps popping up in this story. Every time we make a turn, it's Nika, Nika, Nika.
Then he and Toya went to buy some rock.
Toya starts to take the lead. She says they go to this apartment complex. There's a guy there selling dope.
We went to the trap and got high. Afterwards, we went in the car and I was tripping.
You see all that money in there?
What?
I gotta get it.
Alfred tells her, I'm going back inside and rob those guys. Toya was out of her mind with fear.
No!
She says Alfred Boyd reached under the floorboard of his car, pulled out a gun.
Just keep the car running.
What? Don't do it!
And walks right back in the apartment.
I felt like he was gone forever.
He comes back running, telling her to drive. He's got a bag of money in his hand, and she punches out.
Go, 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 go!
I was freaking out. Then when I got onto the freeway, I saw a car following us.
She says a dark sedan is following them at a high rate of speed, shooting out the window.
I thought we were gonna die.
This is crazy. So it makes sense of why she's so scared.
I don't know how, but I lost them. So I thought we were good. Then Alfred got killed.
They think this shooter is coming for them. The fact that Toya was driving the getaway car, she feels like she's next.
Hearing this, we're totally convinced that the people that our victim Alfred Boyd robbed are the people who committed his murder 2 days later.
Did you get a good look at these guys?
Not really.
No.
Young. black guys.
It is now the responsibility for me and Vince to work in unreported robbery.
Thank you for your help, okay? If you think of anything, you need anything, give me a holler, okay?
Ladies.
Our case was going at a snail's pace. Now it just got gas. We're moving at 100 miles an hour.
Yo, who saw this coming?
Right.
Now, my phone blows up.
Yeah, you got Quinn.
It's Felicia. She's on the other end whispering, yo, Nika's back. She's here. I'm gonna stall her till you get here.
Wait, all right. You saying Nika's there right now?
We got to get over there. Right now, Nika has some explaining to do. Her name has come up every turn we've taken so far. So now it's time to come after her and hit her with the hard questions.
Nika's the missing piece in all this.
Yeah, we on the way. All right.
Alfred came by here a couple of days ago before he was killed.
We've just uncovered a twist in the Alfred Boyd murder case.
Well, we went to the trap and got high. Afterwards, we went in the car and I was tripping.
He robbed drug dealers at a trap house in Southwest Atlanta.
Go, 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 go!
So we have to consider, is it because of that robbery that he committed? Is that the reason why he was killed?
You got Quinn.
We finally got a bead on the one person who might know.
You saying Nika's there right now?
At this point, we're pretty sure that Nika's this missing piece of this puzzle.
Yeah, we on the way.
As we're pulling up, we see Felicia on the porch pointing to a young black female.
Yo, Nika. We need to holler at you real quick.
Without even saying anything, she just gets in the backseat of her car like she already knew the deal.
We need some answers from you.
What do you want to know?
Once we get Nika back to the homicide office, we get her into a room, this sister is just giving it up.
Start with everything leading up to the night of the murder.
According to Nika, it all started the night before Alfred robbed the drug dealers. They had gone to the same place to buy crack.
We rode in, and I know the dealer. He goes by Peanut. I dated him a long time ago.
They hadn't seen each other in 2 years, but they're friendly. Like, they'd left on good terms. So Nika leaves with Peanut's number.
Alfred told me he didn't like the guy.
Peanut didn't recognize me, but I know him. Years ago, he pulled a gun out on me.
What?
And humiliated me.
She explains that Alfred said that guy did some stuff to me with that gun that just wasn't right.
I'm gonna make him pay.
And the best way to get him back is come back and rob his trap.
I told him, please don't do this.
Nika was like, wait a minute, this is gonna come back on me because Peanut's gonna know that she brought this guy into his drug trap.
But he wouldn't listen. The next day, he went back there with Toya and robbed Peanut.
And Peanut figured it out.
Oh, yeah. He started calling me. And finally, I had no choice but to call him back.
What'd Peanut say?
If I didn't help him find Alfred, he'd kill me.
She's basically just in them streets, assed out. She has no cover. She felt like she had to do it, but she felt bad about it.
You set up Alfred that night.
She actually called our victim.
Girl won't stop calling me.
Once he was there, called Peanut and told her where he could find his victim at.
This all makes sense. This makes the ambush theory clear cut. We know he was lying in wait for Alfred Boyd to step outside.
And you saw Peanut kill Alfred?
No.
Nika says she didn't actually see the shooting other than hearing the shots. The front door to the house was closed.
We need Peanut's cell phone number, all right?
That's like a fingerprint. So that's a good thing. We're gonna be able to figure out who he is. But she also tells us, based off her relationship from 2 years ago, she knows his first name is Fabian.
That's good information.
Right now, our critical witness, her life's in danger. We can't let Nika go back to her friend Felicia's house.
We convinced Nika to leave the area and lay low.
We gotta put her on ice, because at this point, Peanut may try to kill Nika.
Our priority is to identify Peanut.
East Point PD.
It's Vince Velasquez, APD Homicide.
We reach out to our colleagues over in East Point Homicide. They run the name Peanut through their database and the first name Fabian, and they get a hit immediately.
What's the name?
Fabian Powers. I'm sending everything to your inbox.
They provide us a photograph. We learned that Fabian Powers, at 21 years of age, at this point in 2008, has a rap sheet that's a mile long.
We like him as a suspect in 2 separate homicides down here.
2 open cases?
Mm-hmm. Both cold at this point.
But then she drops a bombshell on us.
Both of our murders were with an AK-47.
This is crazy. This kid is a suspect, person of interest in 2 other unsolved murders, in AK-47 assault rifles being a weapon of choice.
Look, we need to work together on this one, okay?
Sounds good.
This kid is dangerous. We have to get him off of the street ASAP before he kills somebody else.
What did Peanut say?
If I didn't help him find Alfred, he'd kill me.
We've just pieced together the motive and prime suspect for the murder of Alfred Boyd. We now know that our victim, Alfred Boyd, robbed a drug dealer named Peanut, a.k.a. Fabian Powers, 2 days before he was killed.
You set up Alfred, didn't they?
According to our witness, Nika, Fabian killed our victim in an act of revenge.
We like him as a suspect in 2 separate homicides down here.
Look, we need to work together on this one, okay?
Sounds good.
We're dealing with an extremely violent person. We got to get this kid off the street.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, good. How can I help you guys?
We're trying to find a missing link to our case here.
We go visit East Point detective assigned to both of those unsolved murders, Cynthia Watson, and see if we can just learn more about Fabian Powers.
Well, have a look. To be honest, we really don't have much on this guy.
In the first East Point case, Detective Watson tells us they got nothing but hearsay information on that, with no witnesses even identified.
The second case had the same MO, but supposedly a witness put Fabian at the scene.
Okay, so the victim on murder number 2 is James Jackson.
That's right.
We know from East Point telling us that the case involving the murder of James Jackson involved some kind of robbery.
What happened to the witness?
He disappeared. For all I know, Fabian got to him.
There's nothing really concrete in there that can lend any kind of assistance in our investigation.
I wish I had more for you guys.
Thank you. We'll let you know if something pops up on our end.
Sounds good. I'll do the same.
Thanks.
Other than the similarities in the case, the same type of weapon used, it doesn't put us any closer in solving the Alfred Boyd homicide and charging Fabian Powers with his murder.
We managed to track down Blondie, but she never saw the shooter at all.
Several months went by without any leads. We followed up with East Point PD, but all was silent on their end as well.
We decided to circle back with Nika.
Hey, girl. How we doing?
I'm good.
We go by to pay her a visit in hopes of possibly gaining some knowledge about these open cases down at East Point. Maybe she knows something.
Any update on the case yet?
Kind of. We want to show you something. Hop in.
So, me and Vince just confront Nika with the information East Point gave us.
Check this out.
All right, so what do you know about Fabian dropping bodies over in East Point?
I know he's the one that killed Kurt.
She didn't know anything about the first homicide that we were given, but she did know about the James Jackson, but she only knew him as Cut.
All right, how do you know that it was Fabian that killed Cut?
George told me. He witnessed the murder.
She said that her friend George, he told her everything that he saw, but he never went and talked to police.
How can we find George?
He won't just show up, but there's a way for you to hook up with him.
She tells us that what he does, he's essentially Uber for crack.
Here's his number.
Okay.
If you're in the need of a ride to the trap house to get some dope, George will give you a ride if you share.
You calling him?
Absolutely. Hey, bro, man. Yeah, I need a lift, and I heard you the man to call.
We're out-of-the-box type cats. I mean, we've always done this.
Yeah, 4725 C Drive.
Like, we knew this was it. If this doesn't work, we may never solve this case.
All right, I see it a little bit.
we had to go to what George is known for giving people rides. And that's exactly what we did.
Yo, George.
He sees us sitting there in a car, and he realized he's been talking to the cops the whole time.
We ain't trying to bust you. We just want to talk.
We've been talking to Nika.
We get right to it. We ask him, does he know James Jackson?
Cut was my boy, man.
Well, we heard you know who killed your boy.
Yeah.
He says without warning, he saw a guy that he knew actually produce an assault rifle and shoot his friend.
It was Nut. Nut did it.
We also know that Nut is Peanut. That's Fabian Powers.
Is Nut one of these guys?
We let him view the lineup. We're effectively working in East Point criminal homicide.
That's Nut, number 3.
So at this point, we have an eyewitness that saw Fabian Powers kill East Point victim James Jackson.
Hey, thank you, man. All right, we'll be in touch with you. It's time to tell East Point PD what's happening.
That's right.
It seems we finally have enough to take down Fabian Powers.
We have you connected to multiple homicides out here.
But we're about to be thrown a curveball.
So, Eric, what's the trigger man?
Yeah.
There's absolutely no way we can believe what's going on right now.
That's Nut, man.
It appears that we've tied Fabian Powers, a.k.a. Peanut, the prime suspect in Alfred Boyd's murder, to at least one unsolved homicide in East Point.
It's time to tell East Point PD what's happening.
We reached out to our contact at East Point PD and let them know what we had, that they can arrest Fabian for James Jackson's murder.
Unfortunately, they said it wasn't enough for them to move the case forward. We were absolutely shocked.
The only silver lining in this whole thing is we found out Fabian had an outstanding probation warrant, so we sent that information right over to our fugitive team.
Finally, 4 days shy of a year-long investigation into Alfred Boyd's homicide, our fugitive task force arrested Fabian Powers.
Finally, it was time to get this brother in the box and see what he has to say. From the giddy-up, we tell Fabian Powers why he's in our office, and it ain't for no probation violation.
I'm gonna keep it real with you. We got you linked to multiple homicides out here.
Fabian agrees to speak to us without an attorney.
Let's just start with you getting robbed.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You know Alfred? Or Hoganville?
Never heard of him.
He denies knowing the victim. He denies knowing the East Point victim. This kid is denying everything.
What about Nika?
Yeah, I know her.
Okay. Because I was finna say, for a minute you had me thinking I had the wrong Fabian Powers right quick.
This is a guy who potentially could have killed 3 people. I mean, that's a lot of weight to carry at age 21. We can feel that. He's very uncomfortable in this room. And at some point, he requests to get out of that room like he was suffocating.
Why don't we get some fresh air real quick, bro?
Yeah, let's do that.
So a lot of times people need some space. They need air if we take them outside or into the hallway and they feel more comfortable and relaxed.
All right, look, man. You need to start talking if you want to save yourself.
All right, I got robbed.
Fabian Powers finally broke. He says that he and his best friend Eric Gates were robbed at gunpoint on December 2nd by our victim, Alfred Boyd.
But I didn't shoot nobody.
Fabian says he just took the loss and charged that robbery to the gang. He didn't do anything about it.
He then goes on to say a couple days later, he just happened to be visiting Nika over at a house on Selwyn, and he sees that guy, our victim, who had robbed him.
According to Fabian, they tapped on the glass and said, "Hey man, I want my money back."
And then this old man started talking trash.
Get out of here, little boy.
And he said without warning, his friend Eric Gates, who was brandishing an assault rifle, started firing into the car.
So, Eric, what's the trigger man?
Yeah.
This isn't making sense at all, because if Fabian Powers and stranded Eric is firing into the car, Fabian Powers would have been in the line of fire.
I didn't shoot nobody. I swear.
Give me a second, guys.
It got to the point we're now sitting on the floor with this grown man of 21 years old, and we're consoling him.
While Quinn's still talking to Fabian, I start punching up Eric Gates, and I clearly find out that Eric Gates himself was killed in a homicide after Alfred Boyd was killed.
Eric's dead.
So he's somebody that's very convenient for Fabian Powers to bring up as the shooter, because he knows we can't go talk to him. He knows Eric Gates is dead. He's an easy fall guy. He's an easy patsy to throw at us.
All right, look, man. You can't put this on your dead friend. All right? So, I need the truth from you. Now.
And I was straight up with the brother. We got witnesses that put you on that driveway, not anybody else.
Were you wearing a bandana that night?
I think so.
Fabian tells us he normally wears a bandana around his ankles, so it could be his. Based off everything me and my partner handled in this investigation, without a shadow of a doubt, we believe 100% Fabian Powers is the shooter that killed our victim, Alfred Boyd.
Whether Fabian Powers ever admitted that he actually pulled the trigger, he's putting himself at the crime scene. He admits that our victim actually robbed him.
Look, let's go back into the room, all right? Let's talk some more. Come on.
This is a wealth of evidence. We got exactly what we need. On Christmas Eve 2009, Fabian Powers is charged with the murder of our victim, Alfred Boyd, and James Jackson from East Point, Georgia. He takes a plea for manslaughter in James Jackson's case and receives 20 years. In Alfred Boyd's case, he opts for a trial. He's found guilty and is serving life in prison today.
We just want to go back over your statement with you.
Sure. When me and my partner finished with this investigation, it became a template,
See you. What are you doing?
It's the morning of February the 11th, 2004. We're at the office and we get a call involving a person deceased inside a vehicle at an apartment complex over in Northwest Atlanta.
All we know is the victim is male. The cause of death is a question mark right now. That's a little odd for us because we normally don't head to a scene not knowing what we're walking into.
We arrive at the Maple Creek Apartments. When we get there, we see cops out there, and they're all like nestled around this really loud yellow pickup truck.
What you got? Yeah, deceased male in the front seat.
They made the determination that he was already dead, and they wanted to preserve that crime scene, so they didn't touch it.
Who called it in?
An employee here, they just stumbled across it.
All right, thanks a lot.
Since no one's touched this particular car, it's not been compromised, we also don't want to do that. We want to wait for the medical examiner to get there, so when they examine the body, we can document exactly what we did with them.
Amy's on the way.
Thank you, man.
What happened here?
We don't really get a lot of white guys out here.
This is arguably a 98% minority apartment complex. So I'm wondering, why is this person back here? Did they come to meet someone? We got nothing but question marks at this point.
It's a bloodbath in there.
His face is covered in blood. That's how disfigured he was in terms of what we could see and the covering of the blood on his face.
Yo, why park here?
To hide, baby.
It looks like whoever put that vehicle there, they wanted to conceal it from the roadway. Behind the building, you got the cover of darkness.
You got the woods right there. Killer could have slipped out unseen.
We're thinking this could be an avenue of escape for the perpetrator or perpetrators. I mean, it would make sense.
Good morning, detectives.
So the medical examiner finally arrives on scene, and we're able to open the door.
Gunshot?
Hard to say.
There's so much blood covering this victim's head and his face, we really can't tell what happened yet.
All right, so how long has the victim been out here?
less than a day.
And what she told us was this happened between 6 hours or maybe the night before.
There's no bullet holes out here. It's mint.
So that means everything happened inside the vehicle, up close and personal.
We're just making observations.
I'm gonna go around the other way.
And the first thing we see that sticks out in the backseat, it's pristine. It looks like a total contrast to what we got going on in the front passenger compartment of this truck.
Check it out.
Blood transfer.
We realize that's an interesting piece of evidence because blood transfer, it can't be from the victim.
Somebody was back here.
And that means whoever was in that back seat, somehow their hands or another part of their body touched the blood from the front seat and then transferred it to that door. Doesn't mean it's our suspect. It could be a witness. But we have somebody right now that was in that car that's unaccounted for.
We'll process the blood and check for prints.
Check that out, buddy.
Quinn points out to me the dome light that you actually, when you open the door, it turns on. There's also blood transfer on that.
It's in the off position.
It makes sense they would reach up with blood on their hand and turn that light off. They wanted no witnesses to what they have just done.
Not much else back here.
We see a shoebox that's empty. We see some balled up papers. We make note of all of this because we don't know what it's going to mean later.
Hey, I got something down here.
We see on the front floorboard on the passenger side, there's a broken piece of plastic. Now, I'm no gun expert, but I'm realizing that's a piece of a gun.
No, Vinny, doesn't this look like a piece of the pistol grip?
Yeah, I think so. It's got blood and hair on it.
Yeah.
We got to consider that this person who's responsible for killing our victim hit our victim with the gun and then it broke that piece off.
Vinny, think we know what kind of gun was used?
What is it, a 45?
Yeah, and it's a live round.
At this point, we have two references to a weapon. We have a bullet in the center console, and we've got a piece of a pistol grip from a handgun.
Got a wallet. Eric Honey, 28 years old. That looks like our guy.
The physical description on the license, at this point, it's consistent with the victim that we see in the front seat.
Well, it says his address is in Sandy Springs.
What's he doing down here?
I'm gonna make a phone call, see who this vehicle is registered to.
So we run the license plate tag and we find out that the vehicle comes back to not only Eric Honey, but someone named Carol Gibson.
So the vehicle is registered to Eric and a woman that lives at the same address.
I won't need to pay her a visit.
If you guys are done, I'll take the vehicle in the body.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Quinn and I stay on scene and start doing a canvass.
We're gonna knock on some doors, see if we can roust up some help.
We don't find anyone who recalls anything too suspicious.
We were able to find one tenant that said they saw the yellow pickup truck parked in the same position around midnight. So that actually gives us a timeline. We know our victim had been there at least since 12 a.m.
Hey, fellas.
What's up, Sam?
Before leaving the scene, we get a visit from missing persons detective Sam Ahern.
What brings you out here?
It's about your case.
He goes on to say he received a phone call from a woman wanting to know who was handling her son's kidnapping case.
Who's the woman?
Carol Gibson.
Now remember, the vehicle is registered to Carol Gibson. This information is beyond coincidental. This has to be related to our case.
All right, so her son is Eric.
Yeah. I asked Carol to come to the office to speak to you guys.
Thanks a lot, Sam.
Thank you, man.
At this point, Quinn and I head to the office to talk to this mother about what's going to be the worst day of her life.
Please have a seat.
We meet with Carol Gibson and we break the bad news to her.
We're sorry to have to tell you that Eric is dead.
Oh my God.
She's grieving, she's crying, and she clearly is exhibiting this emotional distress. We let her calm down and then we start asking the pertinent questions.
What are you able to tell us about your son?
Well, he's not my actual son.
Carol Gibson goes on to say that Eric Honey's natural mother is alive and well, living somewhere in metropolitan Atlanta. But she said for the last 7 years or so, she's been kind of like a surrogate mother / benefactor of Eric Honey.
He dated my daughter, and then he lived with us for a while. But I just can't believe this is happening.
Tell us what happened last night.
Well, I got a call from Eric's friend, Nick. and he sounded frantic.
Nick had received a strange call from Eric earlier that night. Nick told her that when Eric called, he's telling him, go to the closet and get the shoebox that's full of money.
It had rent money in it. And Eric told him, take the shoebox and put it on the porch. And then he said, like, don't ask any questions.
Did he put it on the porch?
Yeah.
The shoebox in the truck. We got an empty box in here.
There's so many elements of this kidnapping case, but what we know is our victim calls in a panic. He calls his roommate, and he needs money to get out of trouble.
Yeah, and then he asked me, had I spoken with Eric, and I hadn't. So then I asked him, have you heard from Andy?
And we like, who the hell is Andy?
He was with Eric.
What?
What's the deal here? I'm confused right now, and so is my partner.
Andy was kidnapped too, but he got away.
We have a surviving victim, but more importantly, he's a witness.
We're about to hear a blow-by-blow about the ride from hell.
Give me your cell phones.
This wasn't this guy's first rodeo, but there seems to be way more to the story. It didn't make no sense.
Are you sure this is the guy that you saw get in the truck with Eric?
This seemed personal.
What's the guy's name?
Phone boy.
As we're closing in on the prime suspect, a shocking detail emerges.
Was anybody with you?
My friend, Jessica.
This was gonna derail our entire investigation.
When I got home, my brother was there, and he didn't leave.
We got no idea what to do now.
What happened here?
We're investigating the murder of 28-year-old Eric Honey, found inside his vehicle at an apartment complex in Northwest Atlanta.
It's a bloodbath in there.
A crime scene with layers of blood that was just something that astounded even the most seasoned homicide detectives on scene.
Tell us what happened last night.
Hours into the investigation, we discovered that Eric was actually the victim of a kidnapping that occurred the night before we found him.
So then I asked him, have you heard from Andy?
Right, who's Andy?
He was with Eric.
We quickly learned that Eric wasn't the only victim of the kidnapping. Another victim named Andy was also kidnapped, escaped, and survived.
Tell us more about Andy.
Well, he was Eric's friend, and he actually called me last night after I got off the phone with Nick.
He said that he had been kidnapped with Eric, he was able to escape, and now he's with the police reporting what happened. We know at this point we need to speak to Andy.
Thank you for your time.
She's given us more information in this one sit-down than we've had the whole time at the crime scene.
We headed over to the medical examiner's office for the autopsy. We learned that the cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head. When we looked at the injuries on Eric Honey's face when he was all cleaned up, we noticed these rectangular abrasions, and the pattern on the grip matched the marks on Eric's face.
At that point, we came to the conclusion that Eric was pistol whipped to death.
Why would someone beat somebody so viciously?
Later that day, Eric's friend, Andy Hart, comes in for an interview.
All right, hey man, we appreciate your time, okay?
No problem. So how do you know Eric?
He says that they used to actually own a business together, but soon after getting off the ground, the business bellied up, and it left them both financially strapped.
Eric recently had the idea that we could open our own trucking company.
They knew nothing about driving trucks. So if they want to buy a trucking company and have drivers and people delivering goods all over America, they need to know how to drive a truck.
In January, we enrolled in trucking school.
Which trucking school?
Big rig driving in Forest Park.
So tell us about the kidnapping.
We had carpooled to school that day.
So Andy begins to break down exactly how February the 10th, 2004 started out. They were actually in different classes all day.
I was out by Eric's truck around 6:30 p.m. waiting to go home.
He's actually in the parking lot at the yellow pickup truck talking to one of his instructors when all of a sudden Eric approaches the car and starts cleaning stuff out of the back seat of the pickup truck.
Eric was making room for this guy he was going to take home.
Who's the guy?
I didn't know him.
According to Andy, this black male that was in the company of Eric was supposed to be a former student at the trucking school.
What did he look like?
I don't know. He was behind me and sort of facing away from me.
He didn't really get a good look at the guy. The guy was kind of holding his head down.
Hey, I'm Andy.
He reached back, just to be polite, he shook the guy's hand. The guy was wearing gloves.
Wasn't that cold out, but whatever.
So we're definitely not going to get any prints from the truck.
Did he say his name?
No, I didn't quite catch it, but it was something like Keith.
According to Andy, it seemed like the guy in the back seat couldn't really figure out where he wanted to get dropped off.
We drove around for a while because the guy couldn't decide where he wanted to go.
They're just going aimlessly all through southeast Atlanta, and it seems like the guy in the back seat is getting more nervous as they try to find locations.
And we drove to another apartment complex on Cleveland Avenue.
The guy in the back seat told him to pull into this apartment complex, said his girlfriend lived there, but he told him to pull up by a dumpster, kind of secluded area inside the parking lot.
I thought the guy was getting out, but then he pulled a gun.
I want the money.
According to Andy, he racks one in or chambers around in the gun, and that's when he knew it was getting real. When he racked that gun, he kicked out a live round. That explains why we found that live projectile.
Vinny, it's a live round.
The guy said to Eric, I want the money from that card.
That card?
Uh-huh.
He's specifically referencing something with a specific card, which in our opinion is a credit card.
I don't have that card with me.
Eric is pleading with the guy in the back seat about what sounds like a previous conversation they had.
Don't lie to me. I want the $10,000.
So the robber knew about the card.
Yeah, Eric said it was Carol's card.
Carol is the only one Andy knows for a fact has a lot of money. Possibly he may have seen some kind of transaction slip from an ATM.
Give me your cell phones.
Now!
The gunman's getting very angry. He actually takes their phone from them so they can't call 911.
Drive.
He tells them, drive, don't draw any attention to us. If I see blue lights behind us, I'm killing you both.
I told the guy I could get money from my account, so we drove to an ATM. I felt if I gave the guy money, this would all be over.
All right, what happened next?
And the gunman says, okay, cool. If I don't see that or you don't come back, your boy Eric here is dead.
What's this?
So Andy says he could only withdraw $200.
It's all I had in my account. Here's the receipt.
The guy's anger upticked even more. He kept pressing Eric, I want to go to that lady's house. She got $10,000 and I want it.
Take me to that lady's house.
Please, just don't. I thought the guy was going to shoot me right there. But Eric said he could get money from his buddy Nick.
Eric comes up with a plan. Eric discloses that he runs a rental property and it's rent time.
So then you went to Nick's?
No, the guy thought we were setting him up.
They've been in the car for over an hour and a half now. What the gunman is basically saying is we're going to keep driving till it's 3 o'clock in the morning. But Andy comes up with an idea.
I said to drive to another ATM and that I could take a cash advance on my credit card. I figured Eric would know that was our chance to get away.
And he's thinking Eric's gonna know that, bruh, you know I ain't got no money on this card. We talked about it being maxed out over a couple of months ago. And that was gonna be their signal to escape. The gunman allows them to go to a supermarket, to an outdoor ATM, and make that transaction for a second time.
So I bolted toward the store.
He took that opportunity, and he had only hoped his friend would understand and leave out of the car at the same time, because they were in a public area in front of a supermarket. It just didn't go down that way.
And the truck peeled off.
I can only imagine when he sees that yellow pickup truck screeching away, he realized his friend Eric is in grave danger now.
I never saw Eric again.
We found his truck like 7 miles away.
So you never got to look at the guy's face?
No, I was too scared.
It's a little bit strange. He has so much detail about everything, but he can't tell us anything about a description that's going to help us out with this gunman.
How much longer is this going to take?
There's something about Andy struck us odd because he was so calm and collected and a matter of fact about how he's relaying these events that occurred.
We just have a few more questions for you.
Is it possible that Andy is not being completely honest with us?
This is a homicide investigation, and we've got to consider all possibilities. You know, maybe Andy is actually the setup guy.
All right. Hey, man, we appreciate your time, okay?
Yeah, no problem.
Less than 24 hours into the Eric Honey homicide investigation,
I thought the guy was getting out. but then he pulled a gun.
We find out Eric and his friend Andy were the victims of a kidnapping that led right up to the murder.
And I never saw Eric again.
At this point, there's no question this is all related.
So you never got to look at the guy's face?
No, I was too scared.
The bigger question is whether or not Andy is involved in this.
Walk us through again why you can't describe the kidnapping.
Andy introduced a failed business that they had before that.
I told you, I never looked the guy directly in the face.
You know, there could have been a lot of money that they invested together. So maybe Andy is the one that actually needed this money.
I need you to really try with us. This could help us out a lot.
Andy's insisting that he didn't get a good look at this gunman in the back seat, but he did give us somewhat of a description.
The guy was maybe 6 foot tall, thin. Based on the sound of his voice, I think maybe he was in his 30s.
We have to deal with something a lot of people like to talk about, but it's cross-racial identification. Sometimes white people can't particularly describe black people and vice versa.
I don't know what else to say.
This could be one of those situations where he took a glance at a black guy and he looked like any other black guy to him. That's just reality.
Well, we'll be in touch with you.
At this point, we gotta let Andy go. We've got the first story from him. I'm sure we're gonna circle back.
So we got a black guy. Maybe he's 6 feet tall. Maybe he's skinny. Maybe he went to the trucking school, and maybe his name is Keith.
That's a lot of maybes.
What he gave us doesn't put us any closer to putting anybody in jail. But right now, that's all we got.
All right, let's roll.
We decide to revisit the crime scene for a second canvass. We go back out to Maple Creek Apartments to try to find witnesses possibly that may have seen what happened that night in the yellow truck.
Hey. Hey, brother.
We meet a guy that identifies himself as Amos Duncan.
So, did you see a yellow pickup truck parked out here last night?
Yeah. Finally, we've got somebody living in Maple Creek Apartments that may have witnessed what happened to our victim.
What time was that?
A little bit after 9 p.m.
He remembers on that night he went to the grocery store about 8:35 p.m. and when he got back at about 9:05, he saw the yellow pickup truck and it wasn't there when he left to go to the store.
Are you sure about the time?
Yes.
So this is important information because now this puts another pin in our timeline. So sometime between 8:30 and 9:05 is when our victim and the suspect arrived at Maple Creek Apartments. This is significant because Andy was already talking with police at the time.
But we know Andy is probably out of this investigation as being a part of it.
Did you see who was in the truck?
No, but I noticed the interior light was on.
He was still in there.
That means the killer is still in the car because we know when we got to the scene and our victim is already dead, the light has been turned off. Because when we processed that vehicle, we saw that there was a blood smear. So this is all lining up.
Thanks for your time.
Welcome.
So we wrap it up with Amos Duncan. We thank him for his cooperation. We basically leave Maple Creek and head back to the office to regroup.
We stopped by the grocery store where Andy escaped and reviewed the surveillance video. We could see the front of Eric's pickup truck. We just couldn't see inside the vehicle.
We then contacted Eric's friend Nick to see if he knew anything. He told us how Eric called him and told him to put money inside of a shoebox and leave it outside. He said he heard somebody drive up and then he checked and the shoebox was gone, but he didn't see who took it.
At this point, we've actually cleared Andy. He's a true victim of this crime. So we need to find out who this mystery person Keith is.
Andy believed that he had attended the same trucking school. So we headed down to Big Rig Trucking down in Forest Park, Georgia to see what we could dig up.
Hey.
So me and Vince, we rolled up to the trucking school and we're trying to elicit any information about the disappearance and the eventual death of Eric Honey.
You mind if we ask you a few questions? All right, do you know this guy? He was a student here.
That's Eric.
We meet a student at the trucking school named Cassandra Smith.
So when's the last time you saw Eric?
Yesterday, after school.
She says that she actually saw our victim, Eric, on the day that he was kidnapped. And of course, the million-dollar question is where?
He was at a gas station near school.
Was there anyone with him?
I saw Andy and this other guy that used to go here.
Well, like, what do you mean a guy that used to go to the school?
Do you know the other guy?
Yeah.
Well, like, bam, this is huge.
Tell us about him.
You know, now is when we're gonna get some answers.
Hey, do you mind if we ask you a few questions?
While searching for answers in the kidnapping and murder of Eric Honey, we actually visit the trucking school where he attended and was last seen alive.
Do you know this gentleman? He was a student here.
Yeah, that's Eric.
A student of the trucking school says she saw Eric, Andy, and a student she knows that used to attend the school.
Do you know the other guy?
Yeah.
We just got a miracle dropped in our lap, and I can't wait for the sister to tell me exactly who he is.
What's the guy's name?
Phone boy? It's what we called him. He was always on the phone.
Cassandra goes on to explain that this guy would always answer his phone in the middle of class and hold a conversation while the instructor was teaching.
It was annoying.
I bet.
Do you know his real name?
No.
He literally started classes the first week she did, and he disappeared sometime after that first week. Never came back to the school.
Thanks for your time.
But right now, we know there's got to be documentation down at the administrative offices.
Hey, what's going on, sir? Look, we're investigating Eric Honey's death.
We meet with a trucking school instructor, a guy named Thomas Jordan. We ask him, have you ever heard of a guy named Phone Boy that may have attended the trucking school?
Do you know who we're talking about?
Nah, I never heard of that name.
So we strike zero on that one.
All right, look, man, this is very important, okay? We think that this guy was involved in Eric's murder.
Hold on.
He leaves to check the records for anyone with a name like Keith. Thomas Jordan is actually going through this list of recent school dropouts. They keep actual photocopies of their driver's licenses.
This is the guy.
Thank you, man.
And we look at each other and we're like, wait a minute.
Keith and Patman.
Keith.
We finally identified our mysterious Keith.
Let me see that. Okay, so he's 33 years old. Says here he took a leave of absence on January 26.
Yeah, he was only in school for like 4 days.
Thomas Jordan, he doesn't even understand how much of a great help he's been in bringing our case in right now. This is the greatest moment so far since we've been working this case. Before leaving, we spoke with another student named Jermaine who was friends with Eric. They had actually become close, and Eric had actually talked to him about Keithan.
According to Jermaine, Keith and Patman borrowed $350 from Eric. That was back in the first week of school, and Keithan never paid it back.
Eric wanted to get his money, he was just afraid.
He said that Keithan actually told him that he had done time for killing someone. And he also talked about the fact that his brother killed an Atlanta police officer years ago. At this point, Keithan Patman fits the profile of the perpetrator who kidnapped and killed Eric Honey.
We headed back to the office to see what else we can uncover about this guy.
All right, let me check something out.
We're trying to get a bio on our suspected killer of Eric Honey.
Patman wasn't lying. He's got a heavy record.
There's so much information on Keith and Patman. This guy has been in the system and has cycles that go back for years.
He was paroled only like 6 months ago.
There for how long?
15 years. It was a murder case.
So that substantiates and makes sense about him saying he did time for killing somebody.
Scratch that. It was a double homicide.
Damn. And he's out already.
We got to ask ourselves, how did he get out of prison after just 15 years? 2 innocent lives lost. It absolutely makes no sense.
We got a grab file P3725.
All right.
We gotta go and blow the dust off old homicide handwritten ledgers.
Bingo. Here we go.
Awesome.
All right, so August 2nd, 1988.
We find a crime involving the death of a black male and a white male that were dumped at the same wooded area at a dump site.
Check it out.
Oh, man. Kidnapping.
This was crazy. And I'm thinking, bam, kidnapping and murder.
Keep reading. It gets better.
Those 2 victims 15 years ago were shot with a .45 caliber handgun. The same type of weapon used in our crime.
He likes a .45.
We got a .45 caliber live round in our car. We got the handle to a would-be .45 pistol that was used to beat our victim to death. There's no doubt in our mind, Keith and Patman is our guy.
Yo, what's the deal with Keithan's brother? Didn't he supposedly kill a cop? Let me try something. Sean Patman.
It was like going back in time when I heard the name Sean Patman.
He's serving life for murdering Officer Joe Davis in 1989.
I knew I remembered that name. Yeah, brother, they found Officer Davis in a cemetery in Southwest Atlanta.
He was killed with his own gun, and Sean Patman was arrested for it and still sits to this day.
I don't know what's up with these brothers.
We can't have Keith and Patman out on these streets.
He's a danger to everyone around here.
All right, let's wrap this up.
We're about to take down our prime suspect.
But new information could mess up our entire case.
Check it out.
This was a twist I didn't see coming.
I know he didn't do it.
This is the guy.
Keith and Patman.
We've identified Eric Honey's killer as 33-year-old Keith Patman.
He was paroled only like 6 months ago.
And for how long?
15 years.
Digging further, we learned Patman's connected to a double homicide back in the 80s.
This is crazy. I'm feeling this is our guy. We just gotta prove it.
All right, let's wrap this up.
To be sure we had the right person, we put together a 6-pack lineup containing a photo of Keith and Patman. We showed it to Andy because he was the last person inside the truck before the murder happened.
Unfortunately, Andy couldn't make an ID. He reiterated that he never really got a good look at the guy's face in the back seat.
We weren't too worried because we already had other eyewitnesses putting Keith and Patman inside Andy's vehicle. We also had the statement from Jermaine about how Eric was afraid of Keith and Patman.
It was enough in our minds to get the ball rolling on a warrant.
On February 12, 2004, Keith and Patman is arrested at his home in Decatur, Georgia. He's charged with kidnapping and armed robbery. We're going to do some more work, see if this case gets any better. But for right now, those are 2 major felonies. That's going to bookmark Keith and Patman in the system as we strive to get a murder warrant.
So we get Keith and Patman transported to our homicide office, put them inside the interview room, and we go through what we have to do.
All right, man. Look, take a look here. You'll see where you have the right to remain.
We have to read our suspects their rights.
I want a lawyer.
So right then and there, that's a conversation killer.
You don't want to clear this up.
Keith and Patman has effectively shut us down legally.
I wasn't even at the trucking school this week.
What Keith and Patman blurts out, the jury gets to hear that. That's fair game.
I ain't talking to y'all. The last time I talked to the police, I ended up getting 15 years in prison for something somebody else did.
He can lawyer up all day long. Whatever you say unprovoked, that comes in. And for him to say, I wasn't even at the trucking school, we never mentioned trucking school. We never said anything about a trucking school, about our victim. The only way he knows that is he was there. He basically gave what we call a veiled confession. It's almost like saying, hey, I did it. Oops, I shouldn't have said that.
Well, let them know we're done in here, and we'll see you soon.
He's a career criminal. He's done time before. Going to jail was a walk in the park like a Tuesday for him. He was ready to go.
So Keith and Patman, he shipped off to our local jail, Fulton County. We head out to the house where he was captured at with our search warrant.
My brother's room is down here.
Okay.
Patman lives at the house with his younger sister, Brianna Perry.
Huh.
First thing that catches our eye, it is a complete mess.
How long are you going to be?
However long it's gonna take. That cool?
She is really unnerved that we're even on the property.
Can I stay?
Yeah, sure.
That's a courtesy sometimes we'll offer homeowners that have nothing to do with our crime in particular. So we let her kind of hang out.
You smell that?
Mm-hmm.
What we're smelling right now is the cleanest smell you could possibly think of. It smelled like bleach.
Reeks like a cleanup.
Mm-hmm. Check it out.
There's no doubt we knew what happened inside this bathroom.
So we're thinking Keith and Patman took a homicide bath.
We're not going to find anything in here.
And we're looking for these gloves that Andy talked about, any evidence maybe Keith and Patman may have taken it home. We're looking for a broken handgun and any evidence of blood.
Y'all are wasting your time. My brother is innocent.
What makes you so sure?
Because I know he didn't do it.
You want to go on the record?
Sure.
Okay.
She has something to say in reference to our homicide investigation, and she wants to give an official statement.
Brianna comes to the homicide office.
So what can you tell us?
We can't wait to hear what she's got to say.
I saw my brother that day.
Brianna Perry says she remembers the day of the murder. She got off work that day early. She made it home by 5:30.
I got home, my brother was there, and he didn't leave.
But we can't believe what we're hearing.
You've got the wrong guy.
This could send our whole case off the track.
All right, man. Look, you have the right to remain silent.
I want a lawyer.
While building a case against Keith and Patman for the murder of Eric Honey, we decided to take him off the street. We charged him with kidnapping and armed robbery so we can get our hands on him.
I saw my brother that day.
After executing a search warrant at his residence, Keith and Patman's own sister comes forward.
When I got home, my brother was there, and he didn't leave.
This lady's jumping up and down, claiming to be her big brother's alibi.
You've got the wrong guy.
This could upend our entire investigation.
He was in his room sleeping.
But we asked Brianna who could back up your story that you were home with your brother at the time in question.
Was anybody with you?
My 2 little kids, my boyfriend, and my friend, Jessica.
Brianna drops this bombshell, and she's given corroborative witnesses that are also going to be alibis for Keith and Patman being home on the night in question.
Are we finished?
Sure.
We're done with Brianna. We get her to sign her statement. She's locked in to saying what she said on paper.
All right, now, wait a minute. Who is this?
My boyfriend.
We find out the guy that bought her the homicide is her boyfriend, Miles Green, who she said was another alibi witness.
Just a man we want to speak with. You mind doing a quick interview?
Sure.
Come on.
Hang tight. We'll be right back.
So we immediately let Brianna in the waiting room. We take Miles to the back.
All right, walk us through the evening of February 10th for me.
I went to Brianna's place.
Miles says he arrived at Brianna's house around 6:30 or 7. So the million-dollar question was, Miles, were there any other adults in the house when you arrived?
It was me and Brianna.
Are you sure?
Yes.
So that right there shot a huge hole in this alibi, this false alibi that Brianna is trying to create for her brother, Keithan.
So Jessica wasn't there?
No.
Miles is like, Jessica who?
So did Keithan show up at all that night?
Not until late, like 10:30, 11.
Do you know anything about this murder?
Nah.
All right, thank you for your time, man.
Thank you. You want to take another run at Brianna?
We got what we need from her.
We look at her statement. It's not over the top like I saw him face to face. We're not going to hold it against her. We're not going to try to lock her up for obstruction. She just loves her big brother. Based on our investigation, we believe we know what happened to Eric Honey. It all started when Eric met Keithan in trucking school.
You really did time?
Yeah, man. 15 years.
He was fascinated by this guy in his class who committed a murder and had a brother that killed a police officer.
That's hardcore.
It was almost like he was trying to get his own little street cred by hanging out with this guy.
I'm gonna start my own trucking company.
Really?
Yep.
How you gonna do that?
I got some seed money. Check it out.
We know for a fact, once Keithan found out Eric had access to $10,000, he was in that class only for a bag.
On February 10th, Keithan puts a plan in motion to rob Eric after class. So what we know is that Eric, Andy, and Keithan all got into Eric's car in the parking lot of the trucking school. And shortly thereafter, we know that Keithan produced a handgun and announced that this is a robbery. They then drove around to multiple apartment complexes, pulled up to an ATM, Andy exited, got cash, and then ended up going to another grocery store ATM where Andy escaped.
He ditched us.
Once Andy exits the car and makes good on his escape, Keithan Patman is on the clock.
Drive. Now!
He knows full well Andy's gonna report this kidnapping in progress. That's when Keithan makes Eric call Nick.
Just put the shoebox on the porch. Don't ask any questions.
We know then, based off the statement given by Nick, he lays the shoebox outside of the house.
After grabbing the shoebox, we believe Keithan forces Eric to drive to Maple Creek and park out of sight.
He's got to take what he can get and get out of there. He was gonna have to live with Andy getting away, but he couldn't let Eric live.
I ain't going back to prison. What are you doing?
We believe Keithan began beating Eric in the face with his gun.
But Keithan Patton, being the monster that he is, continued to hit him so many times and with such force that he actually broke the gun. That's evil. On February 18, 2004, Keithan Patman is charged with the murder of Eric Honey.
Keithan Patman is found guilty on the kidnapping, armed robbery, and aggravated assault charges, but he is acquitted of the murder charge. I was blown away so much, I asked the prosecutor, can I go back and talk to the jury? The jury collectively came back and said that Atlanta homicide, me and my partner, should have gone down into the sewer and try to find remnants or evidence of Eric Honey's blood. And that's a quote.
Unquote. Keithan Patman appealed his conviction, and in 2007, he was granted a new trial.
We had to go back to trial again and do this whole thing over again. But because Keithan Patman was acquitted of murder, I can't tell this new jury my victim, Eric Honey, is dead. I gotta pretend like he was alive and just kidnapped, ag assaulted, and armed robbed. It was crazy, but we got our conviction.
Keithan Patman receives 2 life sentences plus 20 years.
What you got? You got a deceased male in the front seat.
We can't legally call him a murderer,